In November 1956, the most powerful empire in human history collapsed in just 11 days, not after a lost war or a revolution, but after a single phone call. Britain ruled a quarter of the planet, and its currency had dominated global trade for more than a century. The pound was the backbone of the global financial system, trusted by governments, banks, and empires alike. That changed when the United States issued an ultimatum: stop the military operation in Egypt immediately or face financial destruction, including the dumping of British pounds, the blocking of IMF support, and the collapse of the currency. Britain surrendered within hours, marking the moment remembered as the Suez Crisis, a crisis often framed as a diplomatic failure but in reality a financial revelation. Britain did not fall because of Suez. Suez exposed a collapse that had already taken place after decades of denial, overreach, and debt. This matters today because the same structural mistakes that destroyed Britain are now visible in modern America. To understand Britain's fall, you must first understand its rise. In the 19th century, Britain did not merely dominate trade. It controlled money itself through the global dominance of the British pound. The pound functioned as the world's reserve currency, used for international contracts, central bank reserves, and global settlements, giving Britain the ability to borrow cheaply and sustain trade deficits indefinitely. This power masked a weakening foundation, as by the early 20th century the United States had already surpassed Britain in industrial output, innovation, and overall economic size. Despite this shift, the pound remained dominant due to financial inertia, as global systems are slow to abandon established currencies even when the issuing nation weakens. World War I shattered the illusion, forcing Britain to borrow enormous sums and transforming it from the world's largest creditor into one of its largest debtors, particularly to the United States. Rather than adjusting to this new reality, Britain chose denial, returning to the gold standard in 1925 at a pre-war exchange rate that no longer reflected economic reality. Defending this artificial valuation required high interest rates, which crushed growth, drove up unemployment, and made British exports uncompetitive while imperial spending continued unchecked. By the 1930s, speculators recognized the imbalance, and in 1931 Britain was forced off gold, triggering a sharp devaluation of the pound almost overnight. The system survived only because Britain compelled its colonies to hold reserves in pounds, effectively using imperial control to prop up a failing financial structure. World War II completed the collapse, leaving Britain bankrupt, with debt exceeding annual economic output and survival dependent on American loans. That dependency became decisive in 1956 when Britain invaded Egypt to retake the Suez Canal, achieving military success but forgetting that it no longer controlled the financial system. The United States blocked Britain's IMF support and threatened a currency collapse, draining reserves at a pace that made financial catastrophe inevitable. Within 11 days, Britain withdrew, ending a century of dominance not through military defeat but through creditor pressure. Today, the parallels with America are striking. As debt levels rise relentlessly, trillions are added annually, and interest payments approach historic levels. America maintains a global military presence funded not by production but by borrowing, believing reputation and history can substitute for solvency. Britain believed its past entitled it to future leadership, dismissed warnings as pessimism, and ignored mathematical reality until confidence collapsed. Empires do not fall slowly. They decay quietly and then break suddenly when confidence vanishes. Britain's decline took decades to build but only days to reveal, and America's foundation has been weakening for more than half a century. The unanswered question is timing, because when confidence breaks, it does not negotiate or warn, it simply stops. When that moment arrives, the world changes overnight.